maximize the value of the brands of the clients that we work with and hence make money.
So how did you get those first few clients?
If you want to do something that's extraordinary, you will have to put more efforts. I don't believe in work-life balance.
What would you say to teenagers or like 16, 17-year-old people who like want to build an online presence?
Every founder should be a salesperson, because once you're on those sales calls, you get to hear so many no's that you know how to handle a no, and that's very important. So the next big thing in creator economy would be
Hi everyone and welcome back to She Means Business. I'm your host Kimaya Jhala Gulati, a 17-year-old student in New Delhi, and this podcast is a space where I bring powerful conversations with women who are redefining success, not just in boardrooms and businesses, but in communities and cultures across the world. Today's guest is someone who's at the heart of the booming creator economy in India. Please welcome Vanshika Batra, the co-founder of Cloudflow, a platform that connects content creators with brands to make influencer marketing smoother, smarter, and more scalable. What's amazing is that Vanshika started Cloudflow at a very young age, and she's built a company that's helped thousands of creators, including influencers, YouTubers, and everyday content makers, monetize their work while also making it easier for brands to find authentic voices. She's a startup founder, product builder, and problem solver, and today we're going to talk about how she did it, what the future of the creator economy looks like, and how younger girls can explore paths in startup, tech, and marketing. So welcome to the She Means Business podcast.
Thank you so much for the warm welcome. It's nice to meet you as well.
So did doing so many things in your younger years like help you being able to like balance or juggle things now?
Yes, I would say I think I always have I've always had a lot of energy. So even today people tell me that how are you able to manage 10 things or 15 things together, and how are you able to get every single thing done with the right focus in place. So I think that was instilled in me from back my school days, my college days itself, because I had so much energy that I wanted to do every single thing, and probably that's how I would say I became an all-rounder.
Nice. So what's the origin story of Cloudflow?
So the original story of Cloudflow, of how we came across influencer marketing, was back when we started our own D2C brand. So it was if you know something about drop shipping, it was a drop shipping model based brand out of the US. So we had our own website, the entire logistics, product, manufacturing, packaging, delivery, all of the hassle of the back end work of that goes into making of that product was handled by a third party vendor, you could call, and we were just looking at the marketing, branding of our own brand. So that is how I came across marketing as a whole landscape, and influencer marketing became a part of it, wherein so again I've always been somebody, again I don't know how this got instilled in me, but I've always been somebody who's very frugal with things. So even when we were pursuing our brand, I was very frugal with the ways we built it, because I never wanted to get my folks' money invested into that. So marketing, and specifically influencer marketing, was sort of like a luxury, I would say. So it was one day that a random influencer reached out to us on our DMs that we could create XYZ sort of a content together, and I know that's going to work out for your brand. And he asked probably for I don't even remember, probably $30 or something like that for a content creation of a reel of sorts. The minute that he posted the reel, we saw a huge jump in the organic traffic. So back in the time, we were just doing performance marketing, and that was the first time that we saw that people came searching for the brand, which was Craft, and that was like tremendous. That is when we started building a playbook around influencer marketing. We were just researching of how it is being done back there in the US. We came across a lot of platforms, SaaS softwares, agencies, and whatnot. But when so that that startup got shut down because of the COVID. But when we came into India, we saw a lot of gaps. Uh, Probably once you reach out to an agency, the person that you're speaking to, that's the person who's gonna find the right influencer, who's gonna do the execution of your campaign, who's gonna do the client servicing of it, without zero to no tech involvement, without zero to no experience of, or probably just having the experience that they have of their own as an individual. So we saw just a lot of gaps that existed in the industry, even when we talk about an agency model, a platform model, or a SaaS model. So we knew that building something in influencer marketing is not it's not just a booming market. It is actually something that adds value to the other person's life, because we have seen that value getting derived off as a brand. So we just wanted to maximize the value. So that is what I believe in while building Cloudflow as well. I just don't want to make money. I want to first add value, maximize the value of the brands, of the clients that we work with, and hence make money. So that is how we came across Cloudflow.
And was it difficult starting Cloudflow at such a young age, because you did start it while you were still quite young?
I think everything is difficult. So it was not, I don't know how do you measure difficulty, but the world is a difficult place. Anything, if you want to do something that's extraordinary, you will have to put more efforts. You will come across much more difficulties than what a general individual would come across of. We always had that option of doing mundane things, what everybody else was doing. So when we started Cloudflow, we were, I think, in the towards the end of the second year of our college. Everybody was getting after an internship, that they wanted to pursue an internship which was paid. Some people were actually paying off their own pockets to get an internship as well. So they were paying for the internship. So we saw that scenario to the scenario wherein we were the ones who were giving internships, paid internships, to even the people who were a part of our own classes. So first of all, thinking of something that you want to do different and then doing that differently obviously takes a toll on you. You come across different challenges, you come across different difficulties, but I think that always depends upon your own mindset. So again, the energy that I was talking about, the mindset that I had even back at that time was always to do something which was different than what everybody else was doing in the world. So I wouldn't say that it was difficult, because I feel कुछ अलग करने में कुछ difficulty तो आएगी.
But did you have any challenges in the beginning that you had to overcome, and how did you overcome them?
So everything is a challenge, right? But it depends how you look at it. So let's say we were, I think, probably 21-year-olds. We were going to crack deals with D2C brands that you see out there. So one of our clients that we onboarded at the very initial stages was Honasa, which is now a listed company out there. Now, when you ask me that was that a challenge, I would say yes. But if I would have looked at that as a difficulty or a challenge for that matter, I wouldn't have been in that strong conqueror mindset to go and get it. Because फिर मुझे लगता कि यार it's a problem and I don't know how am I going to deal with it. But so it's again going back to the mindset. I never looked at any problem, any challenge that came at me as a problem. I rather would call it as a hurdle, because every influencer onboarding was done by me. Every client onboarding was done by me. I just need to be perfect. I just need to go back and understand my vision. I just need to understand that I need to add value to the other person's life. And once I'm sitting across a table with them, I know that if I'm going with that mindset, I can break the deal.
So how did you get those first few clients of yours?
I think first we were also building our own experiences. When we started as a SaaS platform. So we were just giving brands an access to data and analytics of influencer profiles. I think selling a SaaS software is much more difficult than selling a platform or an agency out there, and that too for a 21-year-old. So tab nahi pata tha ye. So we were just sitting across those brand managers, brand leads, and we were just talking about the software, how it can add value to their own lives, how it can change the way that they perform their influencer marketing campaigns right now. And I think that probably, maybe they saw something different in the software or in us, or I don't know what, and we just cracked it.
So being right in the middle of India's booming creator economy, what do you think is changing about how people work or earn or express themselves?
I think how people work, how people express themselves, it has changed a lot. So, like I see you, I think you're probably the age of my younger brother, who's also probably in his 12th standard now. And the things that you're doing right now, I mean, that's commendable. Back then, social media, so when I was in my 11th and 12th standard, I don't think so social media was that prevalent that it is right now. So the things that the younger generation is coming across of is also changing the way that they will now work, that they will, that how their career trajectories would look like. But then again, it would always depend on the individual of how they would leverage the opportunities that they come across of. So like you're making a very good I would say leverage of the opportunities that you've got off. So everybody has access to social media, right? But how you consume the content, what content you consume of, or what content you make is in your own hands. So I would say that the generation now has access to a lot of opportunities, a lot of data which was not available to us when we were 17 or 18-year-olds. And I mean, considering how the startup ecosystem is booming, I feel that there will be a lot of entrepreneurs growing out there in the next maybe 10-15 years.
So what is something that people misunderstand about the creator economy today?
I know what people misunderstand of influencer marketing, which is again a part of creator economy. So even the top brands that are out there, maybe HUL, Dabur, legacy brands, Himalaya, they don't know the power of influencer marketing. They just look at it as a top funnel activation through which they can spread awareness. They can make people aware of their product, their brand ethos. But I feel like it's much more than just spreading awareness. We can actually create an entire marketing funnel out of influencer marketing. We can make it a bottom funnel activation. We can make sure of how we can drive those conversions, those traffic, those sales out of influencer marketing. So it is not just a branding and marketing activity that you do. I think it is much, much, much more than that. And that is where you just need to crack the right playbook for your brand. So first you need to understand what you stand for as a brand, what are your marketing pillars like, what are your target audience ke demographics, psychographics like, and once you know about your brand, you just need a right playbook to make sure that your entire influencer marketing spend is more than just driving more eyeballs. Because again, when we started, people were doing influencer marketing just out of FOMO. And I know that it is much more than that. So that is what we're trying to build. We're trying to build those playbooks for the top brands out there. We're doing it for brands like Himalaya. We've gone on calls with brands like HUL and they're like, oh my God, how are you guys doing it? We would also want to partner with you. So we're trying to nail that down, and I'm sure that will probably change the way of how people look at creator economy and influencer marketing at the moment.
So do you think that influencers should see themselves as startups, or like think of themselves as startups?
Definitely, definitely. I feel so. I think Gaurav might remember that. So when we started, we had a fund. We had that idea back then that we would invest into creators. We would look at them as businesses, as SMEs, because they are actually a startup, right? They have that entire infrastructure. They know the placement. They hold that reach. They are the face of their own brands, and I definitely feel that all of these influencers can be looked upon like startups. If you know an influencer who's gonna, so the idea was, if you know an influencer with the help of data that's gonna make it big in the next 3 years, we're gonna put money into them, and yeah, so probably like how investors do into startups, right? So I do feel influencers are the next startups, SMEs for that matter.
And how do you see the role of influencers and creators like evolving over the next few years?
So the next big thing in creator economy would be brands by influencers. So I think a lot of influencers are already doing it. We also see a lot of tech, not exactly tech enabled agencies, but agencies backing creators who are making startups of their own. So a brand backed by an influencer is going to be the next big thing in creator economy.
What are the biggest shifts that you're observing in how creators interact with brands?
I think the way that creators look at brands would hardly change, because until the brands change the way that they work, the creators will just reciprocate. Should we redo? The creators will just reciprocate of how the brands are working and looking at them. So if the brands are just coming to an influencer for a one-off campaign, something that they want to do probably once in a 6 months, once in a 3 months, the creators will always take that deal as a transaction. I think a shift will only come when brands start looking at influencers as maybe partners who are able to make the brand reachable to a wider audience. When the creators become the brand ambassadors, maybe the micro brand ambassadors for those brands, that is where the creators will get a shift, and will get a shift in mindset of how they look at that deal. It has to be more than just a transaction. Currently, we see a creator promoting probably 20 different brands in a month, or probably 15 different brands in a month. So their audience does also know that it's a paid brand collaboration that they're doing, right? And that is how the creators also reciprocate to the brand, that it's a one-off deal that the client is coming for. But the minute that brands change that methodology, brands start looking at a longer term deal, something that Honasa quite well cracked. Even back in the day when influencer marketing was so new, they were locking influencers for a 6-month or 12-month or 3-month contract. That is where the retargeting happened. That is where a creator relationship developed. And I still see influencers respecting and reciprocating the way that they work with Honasa. That's just because Honasa had a different way of working with them.
And what would you say to teenagers or like 16, 17-year-old people who like want to build an online presence?
So we as individuals are spending the most time on social media. So as 16 or 17-year-olds, if you want to create an online presence of yours, there's nothing like it. You see startup entrepreneurs creating a brand identity of themselves by being active on different social media platforms. So I think that is the way to go about. And if somebody is planning to do that, that's probably the right way to go about it. Just that when you start creating content, just make sure it's something that somebody, or probably not somebody, your target audience would want to consume. So let's say today, as a 17-year-old, you are creating content that aspiring entrepreneurs, that future entrepreneurs would want to consume. So you know your target audience, and whatever content that you're creating is on the same lines. So you just need to figure out whom do you want your follower to be, and then creating the right sort of content that would match their psychographics as well. And yeah, that's probably the next way to go about.
And how important is like someone's follower count early on in their journey?
I don't think so much. Specifically, I would say for a platform like YouTube, even when we work with influencers, we look at their average viewership. We never look at the subscribers that they have. Similarly, on Instagram, we've seen micro influencers having much more cult following, much more stronger following, people that they can influence, people that they're engaging with. They have much more stronger resemblance to the influencer as compared to somebody who has millions of followers on any platform. So I feel it's more about creating the right followership. By right followership, I mean not just creating any random content that you come across. It's more about again, going back and understanding whom you want your followers to be, making the content that they would want to consume, and then keeping them engaged once they become your follower. So followership is not such a big criteria. Having the most engaged followership, having the right followership basis the content that you're making is much more of a metric that one should look at.
But how does one like maintain the interest for viewers to keep earning money? Like, doesn't eventually someone get uninterested in seeing the same thing again and again?
So even relating this with the follower question that you had, the way that Instagram is now working on, even if you've seen reels on Instagrams or shorts on YouTube, it doesn't really just go to your followers, it goes to your non-followers as well. So probably a better metric would be the reach of that profile, because that would just not get restricted to the content that your followers are consuming, but also what your non-followers are consuming. And that is where once you have a follower on board on your profile, if you're creating the right content that's aligning with the other person's interest, consumer interest, they would definitely keep engaged with you, right? And for influencers, it's very important to keep that relatability factor, because why I would follow an XYZ creator and not an ABC creator would align with how relatable is the content XYZ producing. And once you keep that content production on with alignment of the consumer interest of your followers, it would just not go to your followers, but it will also go to the non-followers. So let's say today if you start creating content that's exciting to aspiring entrepreneurs, or probably kids in college or kids in school, it will not just get reached to the audience that you have right now, which are your followers. It will also go to your non-followers, the people who are currently searching of that sort of a content. So that's probably how you get more reach, more followers.
So what advice would you give to a first-time founder who has an idea but doesn't know how to take it to a VC or an angel investor?
One thing that I would say is that you should have the audacity, and then once you have the audacity and the confidence, everything comes to you naturally. So let's say you want to approach to an angel investor or a VC. There are a lot of people with a lot of networks, and let's say if you go and ask them, you have a lot of friends can you just introduce me to an angel investor? I'm telling you they would not, because the friends they've made, they've come from their own journey. They will never send a cred deck across along with the, two-liner about that founder. And the reason for that is the angel investor, who is also an ex-founder, will never appreciate that. The angel investor will always appreciate somebody who has that confidence to reach them out directly. So I think it all boils down to having the audacity to do it, and then keeping the consistency to do it every single day, even after hearing a couple of no's in the start, just not giving it off. Tabhi I feel every first time founder, or probably every founder, should be a salesperson, because once you're on those sales call, you get to hear so many no's, that you know how to handle a no, and that's very important.
Cloudflow hit 8-figure revenue in just 8 months. So how did you guys grow that fast, and how did you keep up with that?
So it's actually a combination of a lot of things coming together, starting from building the right team. I know it's easier said than done, but that's the most difficult part that an entrepreneur comes across. So having the right people, putting them at the right places, making sure that they are motivated, is what one founder should do the best, and what we tried doing. So that, then making sure that we're pivoting as and when we're getting the feedback, and that pivot has to be, not exactly the pivot, the iterations of the technical feedbacks that we're getting from the clients has to be fast enough. So we have to work like a startup, not like a corporate. I used to personally, I even right now go on sales calls. I keep an interaction on with the client. I understand what are some things that we need to change even right now, and we make those iterations fast enough. And yeah, that's about it.
So once the numbers started climbing, how did you stay grounded and focused instead of just chasing hype?
That's a very good question. So I think a lot of founders fail because of their egos, and I've always believed that you need to stay humble. So there's a saying in Hindi कि जो पेड़ झुका होता है वही बढ़ता है. So I think egos, creating hypes that you've done big things is not a loop that I would ever want to get into. So the aspirations that I have is quite high. So every time that I achieve X, I know that I want to do X, probably 1000X of that. So I am never there. I never believe that I'm there yet. I always want to do more, and that is how I stay humble, because I feel like abhi to kahin pahunche hi nahi hai.
So when you're winning in business, how do you also make sure that you're winning in other aspects like personal health and relationships?
I don't believe in work-life balance, because I think the minute that we started Cloudflow, or even the previous venture that we had, everything became Cloudflow. So even the way I've seen my folks when I was young, every dinner time conversation was about their business. So they also come from a business background. I've seen those conversations to be about the business, about certain things that they're speaking of with clients, some challenges that they're facing. So every dinner time conversation, every get together wherein the entire family is together has been about the business itself. So they wake up and they talk about that, they sleep and they talk about that. So I think that is how it has been with me as well. So I have to be in the right health and the right physical and mental mind space, because if I'm not, I won't be able to deliver what I'm delivering right now. So that is very, very important. So I need to take out probably a 30-40 minutes for a walk, for a gym session or something like that. But that can never hamper the work that I have. So it will never be that if my work requires a 16 hours or a 18 hours a day, I will compromise on that, and rather I would say, no bro, I want to go home and I want to spend this time with a friend or this time on a movie date or something like that. I would know what requires me at what moment, and then I would prioritize that. The time management has to be so wherein Cloudflow and my startup remains my P0, because एक founder के लिए वो सबसे ज़्यादा important है. We want that to get inculcated in every single employee that we work with, that Cloudflow, they breathe Cloudflow, right? So if I am not doing that, I have to lead with an example. So if I am not doing that, they are not looking up to somebody, and obviously they would not do something like that.
So my last question is, if you could give your 16-year-old self advice, what would it be?
So maybe I can go back and say that whatever you're doing is enough, and you don't need to make sure that you're ranking first or second every single time. I know mom is pushing for that, but she's probably just pushing for that because she knows if you fail, you might break your confidence. So I might say certain things to her, that perfection comes with the baggage as well. So you don't need to push every single thing to be perfect. It will work out the way it has to work out. So rather you need to focus on your efforts. Make sure that you are delivering 200% of your efforts and not stress on the outcomes of it.
Thank you so much for being here, and it's been great speaking with you. And to everyone watching, always remember that you don't need to wait late to start something. And thank you for being here again, and it was great speaking to you.
Thank you so much for having me.
And always remember that she means business, and so do you.